Concerns about the Zika virus are growing across the United States.
Here's the latest on the disease and the fight against it. Local mosquitoes have now infected at least 16 people in Florida. The state has started using airplanes to spray insecticide and has been mopping up water so mosquitoes can't start laying eggs.
And the areas that are hot and muggy with those kinds of conditions are particularly vulnerable. So some states have already drafted up plans to fight the disease, like Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and Texas. And scientists are waiting for Congress to approve a nearly $2 billion bill to fund research for a Zika vaccine. Joining us now with expert analysis on the growing threat of the Zika virus is Dr. Panosian Dunavan. She was with us last weekend.
That's right, and she is a UCLA professor who specializes in tropical medicine and infectious diseases. We appreciate you for coming in again to talk about Zika for us. We have an update this week in California. 2 babies born with microcephaly, but their mothers had traveled, correct?
That's right. We've only seen travel-acquired cases in California. No local transmission, but a very sad week because now I think we are going to see more of the cases in women who have been in endemic areas.
And you were talking about the fact that we just are not possibly, as a whole, people in our country, just soaking in the fact that this is a serious problem and people are still traveling and not giving thought to what might happen if they travel to some of these areas for pregnant women or women looking to become pregnant.
This is one of my concerns. Also, I believe that even our own healthcare facilities are not fully geared up to do the testing that is recommended by CDC. I myself had a friend this week who has become pregnant and was in an endemic area after she became pregnant, and she went to a major hospital and they had not developed their protocol fully. Now she is going to be tested next week, but pregnant women should be tested with a genetic test within the first 2 weeks if possible, but even later they can be tested. So we need to get that message out too.
Because the virus can remain in the body for quite some time, so if you're planning to become pregnant, this should be something that's on the top of mind, getting tested.
Well, and if you are pregnant, and you may not even know it, but it does appear that the virus remains in the body longer in pregnant women. This is one of the reasons that the fetus is more vulnerable, prolonged viremia.
Do you think we're going to start seeing more cases here in the U.S. of women giving birth to babies with microcephaly? Is this just the beginning of all that?
Yes, I do, because there are now 50 countries and territories where Zika is being transmitted, and you have a tremendous amount of global travel.
Let's talk about the fight against some of the mosquitoes right now. The FDA, I believe, as recently as yesterday, approved the use of genetically modified mosquitoes to be released and combat and mate with the other mosquitoes who may be carrying the Zika virus.
Very important development, and you're right. FDA has given the thumbs up. It still has to receive approval by the Florida Keys Mosquito District. And a non-binding referendum is planned for November, but actually, I think they'd like to start sooner. This is a company in Britain that has already done trials in Panama, Brazil, and the Cayman Islands. And it would be very important to see if those genetically modified mosquitoes will work in the Florida Keys.
And that's where we're clearly seeing it right now, cases of them and Zika mosquitoes.
Right. And the aerial spraying is taking place in Miami, but you know, one reason they're doing that is that the backpacks and the truck spraying have not been that effective. We're concerned that some of those mosquitoes may be resistant to the standard pyrethroid insecticides. They're now using Maled, which has been used in Puerto Rico. So it's not assured that these other methods are going to be effective, even though we hear a lot of encouraging messages from, you know, Florida legislators.
Do you think this is going to grow outside of Florida here in the U.S., though? I know right now we're just seeing mosquitoes in Florida infected with this. Do you think this is going to spread across the South soon?
Yes, that was the prediction really several months ago by the, you know, National Atmospheric Organization that was doing projections. So the humid states in the South were clearly high risk. But, you know, if people come into even our state who have the virus in their blood, because we have a few of these mosquitoes here, there is the potential for some small eruption and local transmission. We haven't seen that, though, fortunately.
We talked about the virus. What about a vaccine? And what can people do to find out where they can go if they are concerned?
Well, the vaccine is in the very earliest stages of development, but good news this week in Science Magazine, there has been evidence in both mice and rhesus monkeys that 3 different types of vaccines may prove very effective, and now human volunteers are going to start receiving a DNA vaccine, and that has been developed through the NIH. So we hope to see, the vaccines develop, but they do take 2 or 3 years to finally reach the general population.
All right, Dr. Claire Panosian Dunavan, we appreciate you coming in again and sharing with us your insight. Just a fascinating topic, and I'm sure this is something we're going to be talking a lot about in the months ahead.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Doctor.